Hi, it's Jaime and Jeremy from Gilbert Farm, and welcome to The Dirt. Today we're going to talk about where we've come from and where we're going. It's been quite a ride so far. Prior to 2014, we were basically just two people in the system, putting one foot in front of the other and doing what pretty much every other American was doing. And then a major event happened in 2014 with job loss that pretty much opened up our eyes to the fragility of our situation. And after that, we realized that we needed to start making some changes. So in 2014 and 2015, we decided to reconsider our situation, and what we came up with was homesteading. If you want to know why we chose homesteading for all of our options, you can check out our video, Why We Homestead. And then as we entered into 2015, along with some of the events that started in 2014, we had more events that happened in 2015 that reinforced that we were really needed to be on that path of homesteading. And so we started doing a lot of research and a lot of planning for the homesteading path. And we covered a lot of that in our video of how we homestead, or how we got started homesteading. Some of the epiphanies that we had, and some of the steps that we took to start on this homesteading journey. So that's what we did in 2014 and 2015. And 2016 was really, I would say, our first year of homesteading. And this was pretty much the year of testing and seeing what worked and if we would really like this.
Yeah, we didn't dive into anything with both feet like we were used to doing because we knew this was a very big step, and it was going to be a long journey, and it wasn't going to be easy at all. Definitely different than what we were used to. So 2016 was the year of testing and experiments and research and trial and error, and luckily we fared pretty well because we did do a lot of research before we started down this path.
Research only takes you so far. I mean,
yeah.
You research, starting a farm, or when you've never had a farm before. It sounds great in theory, but are you really going to like that? Are you really going to like gardening? And how much work is it? And in particular, when you have differences in how you're approaching homesteading. So we covered that in, when both spouses might not be on the same page with homesteading, and how we approach that situation. Some of the accomplishments that we did in 2016.
Well, first we started out, Jamie created a blog, more so to sort of get some thoughts out there and get something established that said, oh, we really are a farm. We really are doing this. And just a place to keep sort of a journal of thoughts and plans, and kind of a log of where we've gone, where we've come from, how far we've gone, so we could look back and just sort of review how we've done. And
that kind of transitioned into the YouTube channel. We really debated putting ourselves out there. We are kind of very private people, and to start a YouTube channel was a really bold move for us. But really, we realized that in doing, in writing some of the blog articles and just the whole thought process behind, when I grew up, at least in particular, not having information from my father, and nothing was documented as to how we used to homestead when I was a kid, that I realized that that's something that's really important, that we should probably have that for our children. Have some sort of documentation of our steps, our trials, our errors, what worked, what didn't, and just to kind of have the videos out there, so for memory's sake as well. And if any of that benefits any of you guys, that's just bonus as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, our whole purpose of doing the YouTube channel wasn't for views or subscribers or anything other than to have a place for us to put little how-to videos and tips and tricks and memories, and just sort of a library of knowledge for our kids. But we were pleasantly surprised that there are a lot of you out there who are interested in that kind of thing, and we've been very fortunate, and I think we just reached like 5,000 subscribers, and we've had our channel since October, so 3 months. So we'd like to thank all of you guys who watch, especially all of you who subscribe and participate in the comments. It's been really good, positive feedback, and it's really encouraging, and we're going to continue to do that.
Definitely, we have a lot more planned for 2017. We'll cover that a little bit later. So what else? 2016.
Well, at the beginning of 2016, we started experimenting with grow lights and seed starting. That was in like February. We started planting lettuce and some peppers and a few other things. We got some real nice grow lights that we put in the basement. They have like 8 bulbs each, put out a lot of light, the right color temperature, all those kinds of things that we researched. And we planted a lot of seeds. And we ended up with a lot of lettuce and some good little pepper plants, and then we realized that mice love peppers.
Mice eat pepper plants.
They ate all of our little pepper plants, and I didn't know that that was going to be a thing. So we ended up not really having too many peppers this year in the garden. And there are stories like that as far as our garden goes. We tried this and then this happened and we didn't think of that or whatever. I mean,
you guys have to keep in mind that even though we were both raised in the mountains, I came from more of a homesteading background, that those skills or anything that our parents have done, they were our parents. I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, they didn't really show us the whats or the whys. We just always were there. We ended up having to snap the beans and pick the stuff and can or whatever, help do whatever they said to do, but we didn't understand any of what the behind the scenes or what went into actually making all that happen.
So we are learning all of this ourselves. Yeah. We are literally basically starting from scratch and learning everything. So all of this stuff, it's starting from scratch and learning. It's trial and error for real.
Yep. So that was February when we did all the seed starting. We're about to start doing that again for this year, and transplanting some things into pots, because that worked out real well. Mm-hmm. The second thing we did in 2016 was we finally ordered our first batch of chickens. Mm-hmm. And you can talk about what we ordered and why and the whole thought process behind that.
Yeah, we cover that in the video, our breeds of chicken, but basically we ordered 7 different types of chickens. We kind of just wanted a variety of colored eggs. That was the main purpose. We wanted different birds and wanted to see what worked for us, and we wanted the rainbow eggs, to be perfectly honest, and some cute chickens in there as well.
Yeah, we wanted to see if we could actually raise chickens and do the whole process, the fun parts and the not so fun parts, and just start small and put our toes in the water there. And after having done this for almost a full season, I think we've done pretty well with it. I built the chicken coop, and we're gonna do a video, I think, after this one about our whole chicken setup and some of the thoughts behind the design of the chicken coop and why we did the things we did and what we would do differently. So look for that coming up. But overall, the chickens have worked out real well. They are, I think, 6 months oldish now, and all but two are laying, and they'll start laying anytime soon. So we're getting, a dozen eggs a week, I would say, mm-hmm. at least.
And it's winter. And
it's winter time, so they're laying pretty consistently. So they're happy chickens. They're spoiled.
They're spoiled. We have one chicken that comes in the house just to get raisins.
Yeah.
She's spoiled.
Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you're getting into raising chickens for meat and eggs and things, don't name your chickens. Don't treat them like little pets. I mean, these are our pets, but the next batch will not be pets.
We have some videos coming out on that as well.
Yeah.
So the next thing, expanding our pantry. So, again, with some of the events, the SHTF situation that I was in 2015 kind of reinforced some of the prepping that I grew up with, and we decided to expand our pantry to a 1-year pantry. Prior to that, we just had a couple months worth, and really we decided that it was probably best to do the 6-month to 1-year pantry.
Yeah, we really just had the pantry, which was like a little cupboard in our kitchen. We really didn't keep much. We do have a refrigerator in the basement that used to be a beer fridge. And then we decided just to clean out the basement and repurposed the whole thing. It was an entertainment area. It was completely finished. So we sold off a bunch of the stuff that was just cluttering up the place and built pantry shelves, which we're going to add on to and reinforce, and pretty much have filled that whole pantry. And it's a large pantry. It's a 6-month to 1 year pantry, and we've got a couple of videos on how we did that and why we did what we did. Also, I built a workshop in that same area, so half of that basement is pantry and food storage and supplies, and half is a little workshop, which has worked out really well. Because I don't have a garage, or we don't have any outbuildings here other than a simple little garden shed that's about on its last leg, and it has been for the last 20 years, but it looks really cool and I don't want to tear it down.
It's leaning this way.
Yeah, it was built out of repurposed wood 25 years ago, and I'm surprised that it's still standing, but it is what it is.
We also expanded our prepping efforts all around, as far as some of our supplies that we needed, emergency radios and life straws, and some other
Flashlights.
flashlights.
Yeah.
Flashlights. Yeah.
We got some cool flashlights. If you've never seen what is it, a true night or a through night?
Yeah.
The thing is like the sun. I love it.
Of which you used the other night when
Yeah.
a fox was out by our hen house.
Yeah, it's only like this big. I'll show it to you. It's only about this big. It puts out, I don't know how many candle power. It's all LED, and it's like the sun. It scared the fox away.
What else did we do for 2016?
Yeah, our prepping supplies, we really added. I mean, we stocked up on ammo. We
Oh, yeah.
made sure we, had all of our firearms in working order, and reloading type of things. We'll probably get back into. What were some of the other things that we stocked up on water for sure for
Medical supplies.
emergencies, and a med kit, and I mean a real med kit, like field trauma med kit.
Yeah.
So
We still have a long way to go in that area,
Yeah.
but we have a good start for sure. So another thing is finances.
finances was a big deal, and will continue to be a big deal going forward into 2017. The decisions that we made as part of going down this homestead path will continue to be important financially. One of the decisions we made was to pay off our mortgage this year for a lot of reasons, not the least of which was the current economic situation, the geopolitical situation, all of the crazy things that have gone on in the past, not just the past year, but the past 4, 8, 20 years. So we decided we would be better off if we were a little bit more secure by having our house paid for, and then we would figure out the rest. And we also managed to cut our expenses by about 57% from what we had been spending before, when we were in the workforce or the corporate world. So that's about a third of what we used to spend now.
A lot of that had to do with, first, just cutting out all the extraneous stuff that we just don't need, that we were purchasing. And then if you check out some of our saving videos, you can see some of the steps that we've taken as far as where we cut back on expenses. We really are very, very, very frugal. And we
haven't really sacrificed a lot of things, a lot of creature comforts, or a lot of anything really. It's just we took a real hard look at where our dollars and cents were going, and it was ridiculous. We were in this cycle of just spending money because we didn't think about it, because it was always coming in, and having been in kind of budgeting and finance in the past, I should have known better, and I did know better.
Which is why we were able to pay off our mortgage.
Yeah, I mean, we saved a lot of what we made, and we're able to. That's why we were able to pay off our house. But going forward now, we're going to do a lot more sort of self-employment, sort of multiple streams of income type of thing, where we're working more for ourselves instead of for someone else who can make all the decisions for us. That's part of the whole becoming more self-sufficient, more self-sustainable, making our own decisions for ourselves, and kind of extracting ourselves from a machine that we are not in control of.
So what else? So before we got started on this homesteading path, one of the things that we did was create a list of long-term goals. We needed to know what we were working towards because there are a lot of steps between where we were and where we're going to. One of those long-term goals is the capability of being off-grid. Now, while we don't know if we're ever going to be completely off-grid, we want to have that capability, but in order to prepare for that, we decided to start weaning ourselves off of some of our electrical devices. So taking it easy, not just going stone cold and turning off everything, but taking it easy and cutting back slowly. One of the things that we did is we put up motion sensor lights so that we're not using electricity all the time. Another was almost completely eliminating our dryer. We built a clothesline, which has significantly cut back on our electric bill.
Yeah, our electricity, I guess anyone's electricity, since our house is completely electric, we don't use natural gas or coal or any of that other stuff. We have the wood stove that we use as supplemental heat, but everything else is electric. And I have one of those watt stopper things that you can plug into the wall and plug an appliance into and measure how much kilowatt hours or energy it's using. And so I went around the whole house and did that for most of the large appliances, things like your microwave and your stove, your refrigerator, hot water heater, washer, dryer. And those are the things that consume the most energy. And so, your dryer, we replaced with the clothesline, and unless it's really cold and or
Rainy.
humid or rainy, we have clothes outside. And the clothes smell better and they feel better. What else? Hot water. There's not much we can do about that yet because we don't have like a solar hot water heater yet. But I'm gonna build one.
Dishwasher.
Dishwasher.
We basically eliminated the dishwasher.
Yeah, we just stopped using it and just do dishes by hand now, or she does.
And believe it or not, like some of this stuff, especially for you guys that have been washing dishes by hand all along, you might laugh at that, but when you get into a routine of throwing things in the dishwasher and then you go off and multitask and do other things, and then all of a sudden you have to go back or you turn off that dishwasher and you decide to start washing dishes by hand, that adds like a whole other 45 minutes onto your day of doing an extra chore. So for us, it's important, in sticking to that simple and sustainable living, to work those things in, those time-consuming things in gradually. That's really important to us, is to do things very, very gradually so that it's not all of a sudden a shock and that I have, 20 hours worth of work in a 24-hour day. So that's what we're trying to do here, very, very slowly, very gradually. So basically 2016, we really got serious on our garden. We started our seedlings indoors. We learned a bunch of things there as far as, like he said, mice eating our seedlings, squirrels eat tomatoes. We did deep mulch, which really works out here in North Carolina with the heat. We had a heat index of over 107 degrees this summer, and having that mulch there to retain that moisture in the soil really, really helped us.
Yeah, we started out with a little 1,000 square foot garden that we expanded and kind of dug around, and we actually are replacing our flower beds and landscaping beds with garden to just make edible landscaping. Mm-hmm. And so in doing that, we ended up using like 40 cubic yards of mulch and manure and really, really deep mulch this year. And already we're seeing the benefits of doing that. Water retention, you have to water less. The soil kind of amends itself, and you don't have to till. You just dig and plant, and it works very well. I'm really impressed with it.
And of course, like we said, the chickens, that was kind of our thing.
Chickens. We built some compost tumblers out of like 55-gallon pickle barrels. And that worked out pretty well. So started composting our kitchen scraps instead of throwing them away.
And we expanded on that, since have expanded on that and have another pile, a very large pile for like leaves and debris and for waste from the chicken coop that we're we're now working on. So that's another system that we're kind of building and refining. And that kind of leads into 2017, which is refining the systems that we've already started in 2016. We know that this is the right path we want to be on in doing these little tiny things that were not really time consuming or invasive. We realized that this is the right path for us. It was a gentle entry into this lifestyle, and now we know that we're on the right path. We're going to start refining those systems and seeing how self-sustainable we can get. So with the chickens, we're going to expand into a dual-purpose bird now. We had our first batch. We kind of learned a little bit about animal husbandry from these chickens, and going into 2017, we ordered some Dorkings, which will be our dual-purpose birds, and we want to figure out a way where the birds are self-proliferating and we're calling off either the old birds or just the roosters. We're not quite sure what we're going to do with that yet. And then possibly figuring out how to maybe grow some of our own feed here. So again, we're kind of refining these systems. It's not an all-at-once kind of thing. We're gently doing this so that...
We're trying to figure out the things that will have the most impact on the property that we have with the limitations we have. And so there'll be a handful of projects coming up in 2017. Some for me will be more experimental, things like solar experiments, water heating experiments, water containment, like rainwater catchment system. What else? It's just kind of expanding more on our permaculture ideas. And again, I think that ultimately doing this sort of as a hybrid approach will benefit us when we move to our next property, which we intend to do and have it be completely a homestead.
So just to reiterate to some of you guys who are maybe new to our channel, we are homesteading where we're at. We are on 1 acre right now. This is not the ideal property. We know that we are not going to stay here, so putting in anything permanent is not a viable option right now. Like even as far as
planting fruit trees and nut trees and things that we won't see bear fruit for 5 or 10 years makes no sense for us to do at this property. Doing a lot of permanent structure like pole buildings and barns and things like that makes no sense for us to do here. So with those limitations, we're doing what we can and as much as we can to sort of homestead here. And I think that's a great approach because we'll be able to learn and make mistakes on a very small level. And then when we move to our next property, we'll have that knowledge and a really solid plan based on experience to just attack it and go full force. So
refining those systems, you're going to experiment a little bit with solar, and we're going to see if we can get some goats. That might be an option for us. Now here's something that maybe you guys might be in a similar situation. We have never had goat milk. So are we going to like goats or goat milk? We don't know. So we're going to go to a local farm. We're going to a lady that we would end up purchasing goats from, and we're going to see if we can get some milk off of her and sample it, see if we like it, and if we do, then we might go down
it would
the
make
path.
no sense for us to jump in and get goats and raise goats and milk goats if we don't like goat milk.
We know we like cow milk, but we don't know about goat milk. I'm thinking...
we've done the research and we know that goat milk is supposedly better for you. It's less irritating to if you're lactose intolerant and all kinds of benefits to it.
We never had it.
But what if it just doesn't taste good to us?
So that's something we're going to be doing in 2017. We're going to be experimenting with that, and if it works out, we might see some goats in the spring.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we kind of covered basically what we've done up to 2016, what our plans are for 2017. We will be here for the 2017 YouTube year, so look forward to a whole bunch of videos coming out on canning, on prepping, more on cutting back on expenses, on how to extend your meat and cooking, some woodworking things, a lot of different projects we have coming up. Again, all trial and error. We're learning as well as hopefully you guys are as well. We really enjoy doing this.
Yeah, we do try to put out videos every, I think, Sunday and Wednesday. We'll continue to try and keep that schedule. in addition to all the other things we have to do. But we do enjoy making videos, so that's it.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us on this journey. We really are glad to have you guys along, and thank you for your input and your valuable advice. We definitely read all of the comments and take everything into consideration, so we really appreciate your guys' input, and we love hearing, even if you do things completely differently than us, we love hearing about that as well. And if it's not something that we might do, I'm sure some of our other viewers might say, you know what, that's a great idea. So definitely put that advice down there, that input down there.
Yeah, the comments have really been helpful, not just to us, but to other viewers and our subscribers. So keep it up.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next video, which will be in a couple days.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.